Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Now, it's very interesting to me what's going on in the boxing world. There's so much going on in the heavyweight division, so much going on at light heavyweight. 168 pounds is kind of, there's a lot going on at 168. 160, kind of quiet. 147, you can see there's some things bubbling up, but not the activity we want to see. 140, them guys all over the place. 140, they're definitely active and definitely out there. 135, same thing. But this 154-pound division, I think the 154-pound division is going to become what the 147-pound division was. Now, what's interesting about all this is we can't really speak on Errol Spence. Not sure what's going on, but we do know that he's been ranked, I think it's by the WBC, at 154. Matter of fact, I'm not guessing, I'll just tell you. One thing we know is when it comes to Errol Spence, let me pull it up real quick. Don't just want to throw some crap out to you. Let's go. Where are we at? Right here, okay? So, where did I see him at? Is that it? Okay, right here. So, Errol Spence is ranked. Let me just show you what I'm looking at. Where is Errol Spence ranked at? As his ass was in there. Oh damn, they moved him out. Oh wow. They took Errol Spence out they took him out. Yeah, they took Errol Spence out. He's not there. And he's not there. What I'm looking at is this right here. The 154-pound division. So what I was going to say is, I can't really speak on Errol Spence, but I do know that he's been ranked, I believe it was by the WBC at 154 pounds, but he's not even there anymore. So Errol Spence, I don't know what that means, because they did have him ranked there, but now he's been taken out. So that makes me feel like there's something going on with Errol Spence. But anyway, one thing we do know out of Errol Spence and Terence Crawford is Terence Crawford is definitely looking to get back into the mix. More and more reports are coming out, not by YouTube content creators, but I would say more credible sources. ESPN analysts, Teddy Atlas mentioned something, Fox Sports mentioned something, reports down there in Australian media mentioned something about Terence Crawford and Tim Tszyu actually being in discussions. So we know Terence Crawford decided to activate his mandatory status. And I'm telling you, man, I'm not surprised that Terence Crawford activated it, because he doesn't just get a direct shot at Tim Tszyu or the winner of Tim Tszyu and Sebastian Fundora for the WBO strap. Terence Crawford gets a direct shot at the winner of Tim Tszyu and Fundora for the WBC and WBO strap. So in Terence Crawford's first fight at 154 pounds, he can become the unified champion. That speaks volumes. But now, that's easier said than done. Okay, so let's put a few things into perspective before we start jumping around here and just say it's a foregone conclusion that Terence Bud, aka Southpaw Man, is just going to bubble up to 154 pounds, fight the winner of Tszyu Fundora, and become the unified champ. Check this out. So this is Sebastian Fundora. This is going to be the problem. Now, in the meantime, between time, right? We just think about Sebastian Fundora as a guy who got tranquilized I think it's by, matter of fact, I'll tell you who it was by. What's his name? Campos, or whatever his name is. Mendoza, okay? It's like, okay, he fought Mendoza, he got tranquilized in a fight that Fundora was winning. But I'm going to tell you what's the problem. Sebastian Fundora, 20 wins, 13 KOs. He had one loss, which was by KO, and he had a draw. Fundora can fight. The problem is with Fundora, he will try to stand in the phone booth and have a mash-up, crash-up with you. But when he decides, look at this man's reach, 80 inches. If and when he decides to stop making fights difficult and make them easy, with that 80-inch reach, Sebastian Fundora, with the skills he already possesses, can easily dominate the 154-pound division. This man standing 6'6" with an 80-inch reach. His reach is 1 or 2 inches off from Wilder, from AJ, and I think Tyson Fury's reach is like 84 inches. So he's fighting at 154 pounds with the reach of these heavyweights. That's because he's standing at 6'6". Now, you may say, okay, Hood Champion, what does that matter that Sebastian Fundora has this reach? He's about to fight Tim Tszyu, and a lot of people are giving Tim Tszyu a chance to not just beat Fundora, but to knock him out, because Fundora has that style of wanting to go toe-to-toe. So he compromises his natural advantages, the height, the reach, and everything. This is why I'm pointing it out, because Tim Tszyu, when you look at Tim Tszyu, right? Let me pull this down. So when you look at Tim Tszyu, 24 wins, 17 KOs, 70% KO ratio. He's 5'8". He has a 70-inch reach. Fundora has a 10-inch reach advantage. I don't care if they're fighting in a small ring. Fundora can hold his position, shoot that jab, take a step back, step on angles, boom, drop the right hand, and then tie up Tszyu if he has to, or create that distance again. He can make this fight so easy. And the reason I say that, because I haven't seen Tszyu fight anybody much taller than him with a 10-inch reach advantage. Like, Fundora is just a freak of nature. So what happens if Tim Tszyu gets in there and Fundora doesn't give Tim Tszyu the fight he wants? Remember, Tim Tszyu was planning on fighting Thurman. So how much time does Tszyu really have to prepare for a guy like Fundora? Where are you going to find sparring partners? You got to go down to the Australian zoo, touch base with a couple of them giraffes, and bring 2-3 giraffe in the gym and spar with them, because there aren't many 154-pounders or 60-pounders, 6'6", with an 80-inch reach. So I just think Tim Tszyu, who has all the momentum going for him, I just think he's in a bad situation. Doesn't mean I think he loses. I think Tim Tszyu has the drive, passion, determination, and the mental strength to recognize what he's up against, and to have the ability to try to chop that tree down. I've never seen him have to do that. So this is where we're going to find out if Tim Tszyu is really the one-dimensional fighter who has to come forward, try to apply pressure and break you down, or can he do other things? Because you coming straight ahead at a guy with a 10-inch reach advantage, he can easily pick you off and frustrate you. Just like, what's his name did it to David Tua. Was it Lennox Lewis that fought David Tua? And just jabbed him. Made it look easy. Tua like he didn't belong in the ring with him. Who else was that we saw recently that just got jabbed? Just embarrassed. Zorrilla did it to Regis Prograis. Devin Haney did it to Regis Prograis. But there was someone else that I watched where they were just getting, it was like death by 1,000 jabs. I want to say Zhang Joyce in that second fight, where Zhang was just, whenever he wanted to hit Joyce, he could. But the bottom line is, for Tim Tszyu, I want to see how he handles that size, especially if Fundora decides early in the fight, I'm going to win those rounds easily with my 10-inch reach advantage, and then maybe fight a little smaller at around round 6, 7, or 8. But I don't know. I personally think Fundora needs to fight tall and long every fight, but he's going to do what he wants. Now, pay attention to this. When it comes to Tim Tszyu, look at his reach, 70 inches. He's 5'8", okay? Now, when it comes to Terence Crawford, look at Terence Crawford. He stands 5'8", but he has a 4-inch reach advantage on Tim Tszyu. So if Tim Tszyu does get past Fundora somehow, and he can negate that reach disparity, I think Tim Tszyu will be in a pretty good standing going up against Terence Crawford. Now, does he beat Terence Crawford? I don't know. Does Terence Crawford beat Tim Tszyu? I don't know. Because if Tim Tszyu can deal with somebody who has a 10-inch reach advantage and get to him and chop him down and knock him out, well, I think he'd be able to handle Crawford, who has those super long tentacle-like arms, and that has given Crawford a lot of advantages in his fights. Because one, Crawford's IQ is crazy. He has the speed, he has the power, but he always had a reach advantage. And it seemed that a lot of his opponents, I don't think they recognize just how long Crawford's arms are, especially when he steps and gets that full extension on those shots. I mean, it's like you can't get out of the way of it. But if Tim Tszyu can get past Fundora, then the Terence Crawford fight, to me, becomes even more interesting. Because that's the one thing when Terence Crawford goes into the ring that I always say, well, it's two things. One, the southpaw style, and two, is his reach. Going up against a guy like Tim Tszyu, I would have to say that Terence Crawford may not have all those advantages working for him against a guy like Tszyu, especially with that intelligent pressure that he puts on fighters. So we have to see. But let's just say all the stars line up. Tszyu beats Fundora, and then Crawford fights Tszyu, and Crawford beats Tim Tszyu. Okay? This is where it gets interesting. Because now Crawford in his first fight at 154 becomes a unified champion. Then after that, let's see what we got here, right? Because this is where it really starts to get interesting. Because that means Crawford, this year, a year removed from the Errol Spence fight, becoming two-time undisputed. That means that Crawford now, let me put this up, I'm going to show you something. That means Crawford, okay, here we are. Oh, wow, check this out. Watch this. Let me show you something. This is crazy. So that means that Terence Crawford, 1 year after the Errol Spence fight, he becomes unified. Then you look at what's going on down here. The IBF is vacant, but there's supposed to be a fight happening for the IBF belt. And then the WBA belt, this guy, Israel Madrimov, has been made the champion. So that means Crawford will fight in July, become unified, then the end of the year, possibly fight another unification, and Crawford can hold 3 pieces of the IBF, of the 154-pound puzzle. That means Crawford can hold 3 belts. Now, what makes it even more interesting is if it depends on what they're doing as far as this IBF and WBA. Who knows? Maybe they have a fight scheduled. Because, see, I don't know. It may be out there, but maybe they have the guy from the WBA, Madrimov, fight somebody in a bout similar to Tim Tszyu and Sebastian Fundora, where they're fighting for that vacant IBF strap, so it becomes a unification as well. So then maybe Crawford, if he beats Tszyu, he's unified and he can fight that winner. And now he's battling for undisputed. And all that can happen within a year and a half, 2 years, let's just say, of fighting Errol Spence. And Crawford can be the 3-time undisputed. The thing is, he has to win. Isn't that crazy? amazing how things come full circle. Crawford fighting for respect, struggling to get respect, promoter not saying very nice things about him, taking his destiny into his own hands, and look at what it got him. Things didn't quite work out the way he expected after the Errol Spence fight. Some inactivity here, but it looks like he's about to climb out of that inactivity situation, and then he's going to go on now and could be very active and very high profile fight, unification bouts. And within a year and a half, 2 years after fighting Errol Spence, Crawford could be 3-time undisputed. But he has to win. That is crazy. Crazy. But anyway, easier said than done, because when you talk about, and I don't care what anyone says, when you talk about fighting a guy like this fella, Sebastian Fundora, I don't care what you say, man. That's just not an easy fight for those guys. People don't give Fundora any credit because, he's been tranquilized, he's been knocked down by Lubin, and then he was tranquilized. So they're looking at him kind of like he's this guy with no meat on his bones. He's an upside down slingshot. He brings nothing to the table. But I'll tell you what, he brings a lot to the table, because you don't get to have 20 wins and 13 KOs and 1 loss if you don't know what the hell you're doing. So you got to give Fundora some credit. That being said, shout out to the veterans, all 7 continents. Terence Crawford has been aligned to go on to do something huge. If this man picks up 3 times undisputed, you know what the new standard is going to be in boxing? Not just being undefeated, not just making a lot of money, not just becoming undisputed 1 time, not just becoming undisputed 2 times, not just becoming undisputed 3 times. It's going to be able to do all the above plus become 4-time undisputed. And if Crawford, depends on how long he hangs around, if he can keep winning, and he can get a 4-for-1 deal if he cleans up this weight division, and get a 4-for-1 deal shot at 168 if one person still holds all the belts, Crawford will mess around and become goddamn 4-time undisputed. But we're getting a little bit of of ourselves when we start saying those kind of things. But the bottom line is, hey, crazier things have happened. And things are working out for Terence Crawford. I just hope he stays active, because this fighting 1 time a year, that's not going to get it. That's not going to get it. Crawford needs to be bubbling up 2-3 times a year. He needs to be fighting. That's my opinion. But he's going to do what he wants, especially if he can come out here and make 25 million in this next fight, and then another 25 million in the subsequent fight. Crawford may say, you know what, man, forget this. But we just got to wait and see. But 3 times undisputed could be coming soon. In the breeze.